one issue that is addressed by neither Republicans or Democrats most of the time. And like anything, it needs the backing of Congress. But this is what I would ask Donald Trump and anybody who posts videos asking Trump questions. How about if they ask him, since he's beholden to nobody, because he's financing his own campaign, will he address the ending of the Fed issue? The issue of the Fed counterfeiting and inflating the money supply and giving money to special interests to keep companies afloat. That was the economic stimulus package under Obama and Bush. That was what both parties resorted to, and they would never talk about the Fed. It took somebody like a Ron Paul, or there's an Adam Kokesh, or candidates, people like that, to bring this very real issue of the Fed and how it ruins the economy, how the Fed counterfeits money for the reason of benefiting off of the counterfeit money, for the special interest benefiting off the counterfeit money first before it trickles down through the economy. And when the newly created money trickles down through the economy, it's known that is what creates the inflation, because by the time that money reaches other people and businesses in the economy, throughout the economy, prices will have already risen. So it's a shortfall. The money creators benefit off of it first. The ones who get the money later suffer. Okay, so getting back to Trump, this is something that he doesn't address. Although I think Trump has good points about him, such as immigration and the border and getting productive illegal immigrants out of the country and then expediting them to get them back legally. He says all these kinds of things, which are good ideas, because anybody who's providing for the society and has a good job or maybe a business and maybe they're illegal, you want to get them legal, get them out of the country and then get them back, I guess is what Trump is saying. I don't see what's wrong with that idea. And then the people that don't want to be legal, I don't think any country wants, people that are illegal in their country. Okay, so we covered the thing sort of about the no special interest. So I wonder if Trump is going to extend that to the entities such as the IRS and the Fed. Because if you recall, and you can go do a casual search concerning the IRS, one good website is thelawthatneverwas.com. That shows documented facts, and it looks like legal papers to me about cases against the IRS, and one guy in particular, Bill Benson, who his life was basically suing the IRS for the illegalities that he found that was committed by the IRS. And Bill Benson found that out by going across the United States and looking at each of the state's documents and claiming and I guess showing that the income tax was never properly ratified. That's a whole story in and unto itself. But nonetheless, it gets back to, again, the issue of the Fed and the IRS. Any candidate worth his or her salt is going to realize that the IRS and the Federal Reserve have to go and be replaced with nothing. Because you get candidates that I think have a lot of some good value to them and good points, like Jesse Ventura. Jesse Ventura seems to know the value of the rallying against the Fed and getting rid of them and the counterfeiting of the money supply. However, Jesse Ventura stopped short in certain areas, because I think he stopped short where immigration is concerned, I think, and where the Fed is concerned, because although he knows and has admitted and showed that he knows that the Fed is an issue that has to be tackled, that they need to be gotten rid of, he is still willing to say, and does say, oh, we need a federal minimum wage law, that is going to raise minimum wage. And that sounds, like that might be good to a lot of people. That's kind of a Bernie Sanders socialism take, Anybody who realizes that although that sounds good, and, you don't want to deprive people of, earning their wages and keeping them, especially in the IRS issue, that showed there where that's why the IRS is criminal, because you and I go and earn our wages and we exchange our labor for our wages. Nobody should intervene in that and take that, which is what the IRS does through all employers. And this is unconstitutional and, as far as I'm concerned, illegal, though, it was made legal, but I think unconstitutionally. But getting back to the minimum wage thing, what I started to say, Jesse Ventura is a person that says we need the federal government to, in a national minimum wage raise, a hike. Well, if you look at this, I don't think that's true. And Ventura is kind of going off on a tangent rather than keeping his eye on the ball with that issue. Because if you if you make it a federal law over all states that a national minimum wage should be hiked, all that's going to do is contribute to the process of the problems of the economy, such as the Fed counterfeiting money, the snowball effect, so to speak, the artificial disruption of the money supply, which is a constant thing with the central bank, the Federal Reserve. And, central banks are a worldwide phenomenon, not just obviously the United States, but here at home, the Fed is what needs to go and be replaced with nothing. During the Reagan administration, if anybody recalls, and you can look up online about the Independent Grace Commission that found out and proved that the money that is taken from us by the IRS does not go to run this country. It doesn't go to our infrastructure. It goes to pay off the interest on the national debt. Now, I don't know what that meant when we didn't have as much of debt as we have today. And yet they found that out back then. That, what I just said, that statement back in the 80s. Now our debt is, I'm not even sure where it is. At last I heard it was 17. I think it's over 17 trillion. So, I mean, whether we have a debt or not, if these are monies that are simply for control reasons to go towards interest of any kind of national debt or the national debt or some kind of deficit, this is obviously wrong because, first of all, you have state and local taxes and you have property taxes. Those go to pay things. Your state and local taxes go to run state and local infrastructure. And you have corporate taxes that pay for defense monies, defense bills. And that's the other whole idea, is that if, as Ron Paul put, this country is into militarism rather than defense, really. If we were just talking about defense, we wouldn't be running around all over the world, our military and our government, and intervening and wasting all kind of money and blood of soldiers, female and male, and casualties, and therefore we would pull back. We'd pull back to this country and concentrate more on defense. Pull the troops. No one seems to do that either, Republican or Democrat. And the president is commander-in-chief. He or she can, acting as commander-in-chief, can pull all the troops home from other countries, combat and non-combat troops. But if you notice, nobody does that. Now, Ron Paul, when he was running for his last time for presidency, claimed that he would do that as commander-in-chief. And, you basically are never going to get to see Ron Paul as president, that type of person. So I don't know if that was made in vain or, he was making that as a a serious statement. I assume he was, but it would have been nice for that reason to see him as president, just to see if he would make good on that claim. So when you get back with this kind of subject matter with Trump, some good things about Trump are what I've already mentioned about the border. He wants to have a wall around our nation's border. Some people disagree with that and say that's like living in a prison, or, these boundary lines of countries around the world are, arbitrary, or maybe that's not the word, but artificial boundaries. But I don't see that as true. I think any country, and, concerned now with the United States, our country, you want to have a sovereign nation, and part of that is to be able to be free, to be able to trade with other countries freely, no entangling alliances, non-intervention and things like that, but also to have a wall around your border. I don't see anything wrong with that. If you get back to Jesse Ventura, that's where I think he falls short and differs from Trump. He falls short because, unlike Trump, Ventura makes the statements that he says, hey, I don't want to live in a prison. I don't want to live in, East-West Berlin type of situation. But the thing is, Jesse Ventura, I think now his home is in Mexico, Baja, Mexico. I don't know if he still has a home in the U.S. in his home state of Minnesota, but he lives in the Baja in Mexico, and that's all good. That's fine and good. But from his perspective, maybe that would be an East-West Berlin, because from his perspective, he's looking at the United States from Mexico. And so to him, that might be a divider, like an East-West Berlin. But if he would come back into the United States, like I'm in the United States, putting up a wall around our country is not, I don't think it's like living in prison, and I certainly don't think it's a divider like in East-West Berlin used to be before the Berlin Wall came down. It's not like that at all. It's not, a border wall would not be dividing our country. It would be surrounding it, and it's hard to have a defense for your country when we're so concerned about militarism and things like that, and intervention around the world. We're kind of spread thin, and so it doesn't seem like we have a whole lot of help to ensure the defense of our country. So, to sort of recap about Trump, should we take him seriously? He has some good points that he makes. He is worth $4 billion, so he can finance his own campaign as he's doing. But, however, like I said, to recap, does that mean he's going to go after the special interest lobbies of the Federal Reserve and the IRS? And, of course, you're going to need the Congress on this, too, because it just can't be a president. There's a lot of people, I think now, it's gained a footing where a lot of people want to see the Fed ended, their ties severed with the monopoly, money-making, money creation. Money creation and monopoly of the Fed, is there for a benefit of the bank corporatocracy, or however you want to say it, the banking elites, the high-up central banks. It's not here for the benefit to stabilize the economy, so it claims. The Federal Reserve is the entity that actually causes the inflation and the disruption of the business cycle. So, is a candidate that does have some good points, like Trump's, going to address this? That's the one thing where I think he's going to fall short. So, Republican or Democrat, they all seem to fall short of this. And, I'd also like to point out in wrapping up, I don't know the gentleman's name, but he's seems to be a historian. I'll have to go look it up. He posts a lot of videos on YouTube about historical information about, the real Abe Lincoln, the real Gandhi, the real Edward Snowden. He has a lot of good, looks like, information finding backed videos. He made an analogy with special interests and, our country, special interest in our country, and how quickly it took for them to gain a foothold, and then you can really never turn back. And that's where we're at. and maybe Trump is a hope because he's one of these candidates that has so much money. $4 billion, that's, geez,